The whole thing's being catered. We're having Cornish game hens.
I brought everything I need to make my signature pomegranate honey sauce.
But he's always at your parties. Frasier and Yellowtail Carpaccio. Has the world gone mad?
Oh, by the way, you are welcome.
Oh, for what?
For turning you on to the best thing you will ever eat. Barbecue pudding chips.
No thanks.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Binging with Babish, where this week, at long last, we are exploring the foods from Frasier. Actor John Mahoney passed away last week, and it seemed a fitting tribute to take a look at some of the fancy fetes from the storied sitcom. Unfortunately, none of these can be found in the official Cafe Nervosa Connoisseur's cookbook, so we're going to have to improvise. First up, the Cornish game hens with Frasier's signature pomegranate honey sauce. Let's start by butterflying the hens, removing their backbones, and then cutting them in half. Reserving the backbones for later, we're going to need them to make the sauce. Lightly season the underside of the hens with kosher salt, flip, and combine 3 or 4 tablespoons of kosher salt with maybe a teaspoon of baking powder. This is going to lower the temperature at which the Maillard reaction occurs, giving us browner skin. It's also going to desiccate the skin as we season the other side of the hens with the salt and baking powder, and refrigerate uncovered for a bare minimum of 4 hours and up to overnight. While the birds are doing their thing, it's time to make some Cornish game hen stock. Out of the spines, a couple aromatics like a carrot, half an onion, a stalk of celery, some fresh herbs like a few sprigs of thyme, a few sprigs of rosemary, a few sprigs of fresh parsley, a clove of garlic. We've talked about stock plenty of times on this show, so just add whatever you got in the fridge. It's going to come out good. We cut up the spines into manageable pieces and brown them before adding all additional aromatics, covering with cold water and bringing to a bare simmer, letting cook for a solid 2 or 3 hours until a very flavorful stock forms. This is going to be one of the 3 ingredients that goes in our pomegranate honey sauce. Before we do that, however, our guests have arrived and it's time to get our carpaccio ready. I am thinly slicing some scallions, radishes, jalapenos, and blood oranges just because they look pretty. If you can't find blood oranges, you can use any kind of citrus, grapefruit, regular oranges, whatever you want. Let's also slice a lemon in half because we're going to make a vinaigrette out of another blood orange, some olive oil, probably a solid half cup of olive oil, 50-50 blood orange to olive oil, some chives. We want to get a little oniony flavor in there. You could also use a shallot, a little squeeze of lemon, and we're going to beat this together with a whisk or a fork until a thick emulsion forms. You could use this on any salad, but it's going to be great in our carpaccio. Speaking of which, it's time for the carpaccio part of our carpaccio, which Niles and Daphne's dinner guests exclaims is yellowtail. Make sure you are using sushi grade yellowtail because we are eating this raw. We're just going to arrange and layer everything decoratively on a plate, so any given bite will give you the opportunity to have a little bit of each element, and we're going to generously drizzle everything with our blood orange vinaigrette. It's a lovely and delicious appetizer if you're looking to take your first foray into raw fish, and if you use a fork very strategically, you can take a bite without your guests ever knowing. After all, we always want to taste our food before serving it. Now it's time to make our signature pomegranate honey sauce. This is simply going to be a mixture of maybe 2 parts Cornish game hen stock to 1 part pomegranate juice, a drizzle of honey, whisked together, and let simmer until thick and syrupy. You can set this aside and warm it up when we're ready to serve. For now, we got to make our wild rice stuffing. Combine a cup of uncooked wild rice with 2 to 2 1/4 cups of Cornish game hen stock and cook via your favorite method. And then we're going to turn that wild rice into hashwe, a Lebanese wild rice and lamb stuffing that I think would probably go best with something like a pomegranate sauce. So we are sweating 1 small onion and a couple cloves of minced garlic for a few minutes or until translucent, and then browning maybe a pound of ground lamb. Make sure that it's mostly cooked through and you got some nice crispy brown bits before combining the 2 and adding the cooked wild rice. And now it's time to spice this mixture. That's what's going to separate this from every other wild rice stuffing you've ever had. We're adding a sprinkle of cinnamon, a sprinkle of ground allspice, a sprinkle of cardamom, a healthy sprinkle of cardamom, a little kosher salt, and then a good handful of currants, regular raisins, or I'm going to use golden raisins for a little bit of a color difference. A nice squeeze of lemon from the lemon that we saved from our carpaccio. You didn't throw that away, right? And a few twists of freshly ground pepper. Now it's time to deal with our hens. Spray down with nonstick spray, and this great little trick comes from America's Test Kitchen. Preheat your oven to 500 degrees Fahrenheit with an aluminum sheet pan inside it. Then place the birds skin side down on the sheet pan. This is going to get them crisping up. Bake for 10 minutes, flip and place under the broiler for 5 to 8 minutes or until the hens register 160 degrees Fahrenheit in the breast, and they're nice and crispy like this. Now finally it's time to plate. Top the rice with a little bit of freshly chopped parsley and a little bit of freshly chopped mint, and some pine nuts that we've quickly toasted in olive oil. Then it's time to park some poultry right next to our rice, and drizzle a pool of sauce around the outside of the bird. Now, legend has it that I attempted this episode a year and a half ago and trashed it because my guests and I got a little bit too drunk at dinner, and I didn't change the recipe one bit since then because it really is fabulous, and it's a lovely romantic dinner for this Valentine's Day, but you need something truly decadent to follow up so luxurious a meal. That's right, this Valentine's Day, give her Martin's barbecue-flavored pudding chips. Martin, in his stoned stupor, proclaimed these to be better than a woman. Let's find out. Interesting. It's got a barbecue thing and a chocolate thing going on, and it's really, really, really horrible, as you might have guessed. I'm sorry, Marty. Maybe next time we'll take a shot at pop brownies or Chilean sea bass paired with an aggressive Zinfandel.